All right, everybody, welcome to another KROERT content event. If you haven't become a member yet, it is completely free, and I highly encourage you to join so that you can see other events like this and get the invitations to join live, so that you have the opportunity to ask questions here at the end. We also have a ton of stuff on our website that I would encourage you to go look at. We have of course, the events and what's upcoming and previous events. We also have a list of associations and organizations and scholarship opportunities that are available to students listed there on the website. And finally, we have the KROERT Conquer program, which is where you can go and request a letter written to you by a court reporter at any time, and it'll get sent right to your inbox. So if you're ever in need of a little bit of direct encouragement, I highly encourage you to, well, that was a lot of encourages. But I recommend that you go check out the Conquer program there on the website. We do have the KROERT Content YouTube channel, as well as the we're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. So anywhere that you want to get this information, hopefully we can hit you right where you normally go. On those, be sure to follow, share, subscribe, whatever those things may be for those specific platforms. The reason being is that we're toying around with the idea of launching some platform-specific information that will be kind of an exclusive just to that. So don't miss out. Go ahead and hit all those follows, likes, and shares, and you won't miss anything. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is Items in Your Cart, presented by Tess Stephenson. And Tess, we are so happy to have you here tonight. Thank you for joining us, and I will turn it over to you.
Well, thank you for having me. Hi, everybody. Well, we're going to go over some equipment that you will need for broadcast captioning and CART, because I do both. It's been a little while since I've done broadcasts, but I still have the equipment. And I'm going to go through a slide that has a list of everything you need. And then once I'm done with that, I'll come back on the screen, and I have some physical examples that I can show you so you actually know what the piece of equipment looks like. And then I can take any questions about equipment or any other captioning questions that you have. So I am just going to share my screen real quick. Okay, and I'm going to move one more thing because it jumped to the other screen and I didn't like that. I have 4 monitors, so there's a lot going on. Some of you may have seen this slide before at one of my other presentations for like TCRA or DCRA, but it still rings true to this day as far as captioning equipment it goes. With broadcast captioning, that's what an encoder would fall under. That is something that actually you don't have. That is something that the station has, the like NBC, Fox, CNN. Also, some places, some colleges have encoders that do sporting events or graduations. So you actually don't have to worry about that piece of equipment. You just need captioning software like Broadcast Captioning Suite, which is in Case Catalyst, or AccuCap, which is in Eclipse. And that's how you connect to an encoder to send your captions live. The second thing is the USB modems, and it says Zoom. That's not the Zoom software like we're meeting right now on. That is a completely different piece of equipment, and I have mine to show you tonight. So when we get through the list, I'll show you what that looks like. They're getting harder to find now, but what they're for is basically connecting to your station's like, if the station doesn't have an internet connection, which most of them do by now, but some of these little smaller towns might not, and might still do things by phone lines that are in the ground, then you'll need one of these modems to connect to their encoder, which is a dial-up instead of like an internet. So that's the only thing that that's really used for. One landline, I have one landline because that's also what helps with connecting that Zoom modem. If something happens with it, I can use that to connect to an encoder, or I have something where I can actually use it for audio too. But for the most part, I just use my cell phone. I dial the audio number that a station has or something for me to listen in, so there's no delay, because TV has delay, as we all know. But the landline is almost kind of optional now. A lot of people that don't do a ton of broadcast use voice over IP, or VoIP. And that's basically what they use to connect to an encoder. It's a phone line specifically that's internet based. And you can run into some trouble with that, because if you're having bandwidth issues, there might be pockets, just like with a Zoom. If there's bandwidth issues, you might get, somebody that freezes, and then there's lag, and then the speech kind of catches up really fast or something like that. And so if you don't do it a lot, I don't think voice over IP is a problem. At the same time, landlines are super cheap now. I'm not exactly sure how cheap they are, just because my husband works for AT&T, so we get ours, I think, at a really big discount, but I don't think they're that expensive. But I haven't used mine in about 2 years. So that's why I say it's kind of optional. If you're doing CART, you don't need one at all. That's just for broadcast. Monitors. Like I said, I have a laptop that I use, and then I have 3 monitors besides that. We kind of joke in captioning that the more monitors, the better. My dream is to have one of those that's kind of really long and curved on the ends, maybe, so I don't have to like jump from monitor to monitor. But it's really helpful because you need to be able to watch your real time in your captioning software, and then also be able to see all the participants in a Zoom, be able to also have the other Zoom window that actually has like the presentation or the speaker up. That way, you can see who's speaking, and you don't have to like wait until, if they have it on like speaker view or you have it on speaker view, you always can tell who's talking. And then I have the other monitor too, and that usually has like a streaming service open, like Stream Text or something, which I'll talk about more later. But then I can also follow along and kind of see, is everything still going out? Everything looks good. Maybe I should paragraph about now because it's looking really long and they're changing subjects. So I use that to kind of monitor things, or maybe have some briefs or something pulled up on that screen. That is helpful, or even lyrics or something. If they didn't give me the lyrics ahead of time and they're singing, then I can have those pulled up and literally just like read those while I write, kind of. So that way, if the audio isn't super clear, then I have that to fall back on. So you use monitors for a lot of different things. Strong internet and backup internet. I have AT&T internet, obviously, because my husband works for AT&T, but I also have Spectrum. So It hasn't happened a whole lot, but sometimes we'll have an internet outage in the area, all AT&T users in this area for some, there's an outage. So I haven't had to lose a job when that's happened because usually Spectrum is up. So I'm not panicking. I can literally continue with the job and not worry about having to call and tell them, oh, my internet's out right now. You're going to have to get somebody else to cover it. Or, what do I do? And it's peace of mind. It is what it really is. So I would recommend that for sure. I have a UPS, which stands for Universal Power Supply. And I think I have my docking station plugged into it. Basically, that helps keep me going if there is a power outage. So I know from my time when I worked for Vitech, the big broadcast captioning company, that you have about 20 minutes if your power goes out to keep writing before that power supply runs out too. So usually for me, if that happened when I was on the air on television, I could wait till a commercial break and then call and tell them my power's out, somebody needs to jump on. And they always had somebody on call during those times during the day. So they would call somebody and then they would keep me on the line and tell me when they were connected, and then I could disconnect. Fortunately, I don't think I've had that happen since I've been doing mostly CART, but if I do, again, I can just contact the company that I'm working on if it happens during a job or if it happens, before a job or something, and I'm not sure when it's going to be back. Because most of the time we get like little rolling blackouts or things here, but when we had that freezing weather in February, I'm very fortunate because I live right next to a hospital where they're on like an emergency, power grid. So the longest I lost power during that storm was, I think, an hour or two. And I know a lot more people suffered and didn't have power for a very long, long time. So I love living near a hospital. Anyway, that's what that is for, just to kind of get you going for a little bit until you can get some help. And every company kind of, I think, has their procedure on what to do, or, even the owner will take over if they have to, because they don't want somebody to go without services. I have an external speaker and headphones. Obviously, I'm wearing my headphones right now. These are my Bose noise canceling headphones. I think they're the 35 Quiet Comfort. They might be an older model now. They do work wirelessly, but I prefer to use the wire just because, again, with Bluetooth, you never know if, there's going to be audio pocket, like connection issues. So I plug into an external speaker, and I'm trying to see if I can reach. Well, you know what? When we finish the list, I will stop sharing and I'll see if I can move it. I literally have my headphones poked into or plugged into that. It's one speaker. And then, yeah, I control the volume up and down with a little knob. And I think that's just an easy way to control your audio, rather than relying on like your laptop or something, especially when you have multiple monitors, because sometimes like two of my monitors are old TVs, and like old small TVs. They're not the chunky ones, but they're old TVs. So sometimes you might have sound coming out of a speaker on one of your monitors, and you don't want to not, like, why isn't my sound working? Like, you'll have to go in and, like, if you're using Zoom or Google Meet or something, see which speaker it's coming out of. That's why I like the external speaker, because once I usually have that set, unless there's some kind of update that the software has, I don't have to change it. It's always coming out of my speaker. A backup computer. I do just use my old computer for backup. I, knock on wood, haven't had to ever use it, but it's there just in case if something happens. that way I can hopefully jump right back on if there's something, if I get the blue screen of death, God forbid. And then also the important thing though, is to just make sure that you've also updated your dictionaries on your software and everything, and all your user settings, to be sure that everything is the same. Because if you don't do that, then, you know, who knows how many defines that might not be on the old software, and you're trying to write and having to worry about that too. I mentioned the docking station before. I've got that. I can't really turn it. I can't really like pull it out and kind of show you when I can, but it's a long station where literally it just has multiple, like, let me count here. 1, 2, 3. I think I have 4, 5. I think I've got 5 more USB points. So I've got my 3 on my laptop. I think it's 3. Hold on, I'm looking. Looks like 2, and it's harder to find laptops today with like multiple USBs. So a docking station is kind of a must. In that docking station, I have like I also have my I think my monitors might be plugged into that. My husband kind of sets this up for me. I'm really glad that he's tech savvy. But I have like my mouse plugged into that, so I don't have to have, I've had trouble with wireless mouses, so I use one with a cord. For some reason, I've had issues where maybe the battery has died or something during something, and I don't want that to happen, so I just use a hard, like, wired mouse. And then in my laptop, like, I'm hardwired to Ethernet, which is my internet. Issues on my end either. And I have it like an HDMI plugged into that for all my monitors. That's what that is. Yeah. And I have my docking station plugged in, so that way all my other little USBs are still connected through the one laptop with one plug. And then I'm actually borrowing a machine right now because I'm about to get a Luminex 2. Very, very excited. It's been 11 years since I've had a new machine, and I'm on the Diamante, and it's time for an upgrade. So I have this one plugged into my other USB. So that's plugged into my laptop too. Docking stations are a must because of the limited USB ports that you have. And yeah, my external speaker is also plugged into my docking station. So yeah. And Stream Text and OneCap app, those are just softwares that you use to stream captions to your user, your consumer. The company that you do the job for, unless it's your own like customer or whatever, they will set you up in their account, and you'll log in with a username and a password, and you have to download like connector to be able to connect in your software via Case Catalyst or Eclipse. I actually use BCS for everything because I'm just more comfortable with the format. I haven't used Case Catalyst since I was doing depots in KROERT. So you can even connect to those with just your regular CaseCat or Eclipse, or you can do it with your captioning software. So I like doing it with my captioning software. And I like it too because like I get to see, I have a multiple outputs tab, and I can see it lit up green when it's connected. So it just makes me feel reassured that everything is connected correctly. So that's something you'll definitely be using. Certain companies will want Stream Text, certain companies will want OneCap app. But you'll create a basic account in your name. But like I said, you'll probably not use your account so much. They'll just need your name, the company that you're doing the job for, and then they will input your whatever they need to on their end into the software, so that when you log in, you select the company, and then you'll be able to do the job. Some companies will set up the job for you to where you just have to click start when you're ready to connect, and then others want you to do it. So I actually plan on recording something in the future for Stenovator Pathway Solutions that I'm on the board for, that kind of is a walkthrough of how to set up for a job and like what it looks like for each of those. So stay tuned. I'm hoping that I can get that done soon, because I think it would help a lot of people to just see the steps rather than have like a list of steps or something. Zoom, Skype, and Google Meet, those are what you use typically for remote captioning, which is CART. You don't use that for broadcast at all. And it's just like we're doing right now. And we can actually caption directly into Zoom. The host just has to have captioning enabled. They have to have the auto captions turned off. And then they assign you as the captioner, and you like pull an API, which is like a secret key that you either plug into Stream Text or OneCap app if you're doing it through that, or if you're doing it direct to Zoom, then a little box will just pop up and you have to put your cursor in it and you'll write, and it will go directly through to Zoom and you'll see the captions at the bottom. So that's really cool. That's most of my jobs that I do are Stream Text to Zoom. I like it that way just because too, like I can paragraph and send them a nice little file after it's done, versus Zoom has a limited text box and I like have to watch it. And at one point, if you go over that limit, like it doesn't hold those captions in at all. Like you have to flush it to send it out, and then it'll cut off whatever you had written if you hadn't stopped it in the right place. So it's just a little, like, to me, it's a little fussy. Like I would rather not have to think about that while I'm writing too. But it just depends on the company that you work for and possibly what the consumer prefers, because direct to Zoom has less of a delay than Stream Text to Zoom. But I think that the cleanliness with Stream Text to Zoom, and it's not that big of a delay, I like it more. A surge protector, I think we all know what that's for, so I'm not going to spend any time on that. For on-site captioning, now I do a regular job for on-site captioning on Sundays. And I used to travel to do like tech conferences and things like that. Since the pandemic, I haven't really traveled to do any of those anymore, but I'm hoping that that's going to change next year. Gaffer tape, which is very expensive for tape, but you never want to use duct tape. That will ruin your cords and it will be really hard to get off the floor. Gaffer tape keeps them down so nobody trips on them, and keeps your cords clean. That's not something though that I would worry about getting right away. Like honestly, if you see the room ahead of time, you can tell, like if you have a special setup or something, you'll be off somewhere where a lot of people won't be walking around your cords. So it's good to have, but it's definitely not required. An amp/mixer with about a 1/4 inch stereo or mono cable input and a headphone output, or the mixer with an XLR and headphone output. I know that's a mouthful. And honestly, I can just tell you from working jobs with other captioners and getting to work with audio visual teams, or AV teams, they'll be able to tell you what they need, what you need. And if you don't have one that has like both the headphone and the XLR, I think you can, I think the one that I've got, I got a brand new one right before the pandemic hit. I had one that I believe took both. And I think the one that I have now too, I'll show you what that looks like is, but if you just talk to them, they'll tell you exactly what you need. And then you'll get like a direct feed of the audio into your headphones, like you're in front of the room, right next to the speaker. It's wonderful. And you control how loud, how low. You don't have to ask anybody to turn anything up for you or anything like that. So it just makes it a lot easier, and it amplifies the sound. An XLR with headphone output. And I think, let's see, do I have, like, that's the special cord that's in my bag. I'll pull that out if I have one at the end of the list, but it's just a cord basically that connects to the amp and hooks up to the audiovisual team's audio board, soundboard. An assisted listening device. I have got that to show you too. That's what I use for the church. So I don't even plug into their soundboard. I sit up in the balcony and I plug my headphones into that. They have a specific feed from the soundboard that goes to all those devices, and I listen to it with my headphones. So it's a big help. And that's actually what a lot of hard of hearing people use in the church if they need the sound amplified, if they can't hear as well. Batteries, just for any, I used to have headphones that required batteries. These headphones don't require batteries anymore. My assistive listening device requires batteries. So I just like to keep some batteries, some like double A's. I think my other headphones might be, my retired headphones might be AAA. I can't remember, I haven't used them in a long time, but it's just good to have those on hand just in case something dies. Any adapters, headphones, yes, and then surge protector and extension cords. So I am going to stop sharing. Give me just a minute because, again, things jump around on my monitor. Okay, can you all see me? I'm not still sharing my screen, am I?
No, we can see you, not your screen.
Oh, good. Okay. So my lighting really stinks. This is what a Zoom modem looks like. Literally got a little USB thing, and it says on the back, Zoom 56K USB modem. That's for like the dial-up jobs that I was talking about. And I honestly haven't used this in a really long time because most places have gone to internet-based captioning. They'll use a software called iCap, which of course is similar to OneCap app. The name is similar, so it can get confusing sometimes. But iCap connects, you connect to the job via internet, not one of these modems, and then you get your audio and your software connects to the same software, the iCap, which is really nice. The reason I say it's rarely used too is because there was a survey in one of the broadcast captioning groups that I'm a part of asking how many of us use Zoom modems or like use dial-up modems anymore, and a very, very small number. So it's not something that is required either. It's just good, like especially if you're in a smaller area maybe, and you've got like one of those clients that is more, rural, then if they're still connecting with that, you've got the equipment. This is my my amp mixer. It's got my little inputs for my headphones. My headset goes here. I got like my microphone. I can adjust the mic, the line, and I'm looking, it's called, I don't even know if I'm going to pronounce this right, y'all. It's Xenyx. I think it's XENYX 302 USB. And yeah, it'll connect via USB. I don't have the cord on it, obviously, right now, so I can show you guys, but that's what I bought. And that's like what all the captioners that I went on those tech trips with had, was this particular model. And it kind of helped all having the same kind of model too, because if I had any questions, they could answer them. But it's really helpful, and like the AV team will know what this is too. So even if you bring along the equipment and you're like, I've never used this before, they'll help you out. They're very, very nice people. I've also got, here is my assistive listening device. It's literally, it looks like a almost like a little battery pack or something. It's got a little clip and everything if you were to wear it, but I just keep it on my desk when I'm doing captioning at the church. And I plug my headphones into the little jack, and literally I control the volume of how loud or how quiet it is. And a little light will come on to let me know that it's on. So that's my audio for when I go to that particular job. Trying to look and see if there's anything. Oh, yep, external speaker. That's right. Okay. This is my external speaker. It's just one speaker. And I have my little headphone jack. That's what my headphones are. My knob to turn it up and down. And yeah, that's where all my sound comes through. Very helpful. I'm looking to see if I've got anything in my cabinet that I have. Oh, yeah. Let's see here. I think I said US robotics is another modem. I've actually never had to use it. It's just sat in my cabinet for years. No. Maybe I packed that up because I never use it. Yeah, I think that's it as far as the equipment goes, and like my presentation. So if anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer. I know that was a lot.
Well, and we sure do appreciate you. I know that I was following along here and taking some notes, and you answered most of them, honestly, as you went through. But as far as the docking station goes, I know a lot of people are going to wonder what brand that is.
Yeah, thank you. No, it looks like it's Litek, which is Litek, LapDock. And it's a USB 3.0 docking station.
And so anyway, I've got, in the video world, a little bit of experience with those docking stations. And I know that it's very particular which ones will work with which computers, and sometimes drivers need updated, and sometimes they overheat like crazy. So I just wanted to throw out a little public service announcement that whatever one you get, make sure that you put it through its paces before you use it for your job. And like, you don't see any smoke or something, because I know that some of them can get pretty warm, and hey, but it'd be nice if you needed to warm up a cup of coffee or something.
It's good to hear that. Well, thanks even for the caution, because like I said, my husband's kind of my tech guru, and he picked out the docking station for me, and I've touched it right now. It's like barely warm. And I
Nice.
use it all the time.
And running 3 external monitors, that is no small feat. That is very
Yeah.
impressive. So
I've never had any issues with it. Thank goodness.
yeah. And I know that, you can spend very little and you can spend a whole lot. And it doesn't so much matter just in the quality of the craftsmanship that they put into it. Like if you find a good brand, it may be $100 less than the, quote unquote name brand, but it'll still be just as good. So,
Right.
it's not like some things that you can, look at just the price and say, oh, well, you get what you pay for. It's not that simple when it gets to docks, because I've fallen victim to that and just purchased the most expensive one thinking it's the best, and turns out it's the best frying pan. I mean, that sucker, I kid you not, it would scald you if you touched it. And
wow.
yeah, it was nuts, but it was, the best one that I could find on the market. But it was, in retrospect, it was designed with Macintosh computers, as their target base. So that's why it wasn't too happy whenever I plugged it into a Windows computer. And then and I'm watching that chat too. So we'll
I just saw it.
more questions here. But what about that UPS? What brand is that? And does it have like a size on it? Because of course that'll be different.
Look, I'm gonna crawl under my desk for a minute. Just a second. It is. It says APC by Schneider or something.
Yeah, APC is who we use as well. They make great battery backups, and they're very easy to change the batteries on, which is something that I would not overlook. Like we just did that on ours. I've got an extra, but this is one of the APC batteries that comes out of them. And the unit is like $300, but you can buy one of these batteries for $50 to $100. So you're not constantly having to buy a whole new unit just because the battery went bad on it. So yeah, I definitely can't recommend APC enough. And then let's get to some of the questions in the chat, and we'll only do a few of them, and then we'll go ahead and cut off the video, and we'll just go to open questions after we go through the questions that are already here. So we'll end on Amelia's question. But Bonnie, to start out, how do you keep up with technology releases so as to make your job easier?
That's a good question. Honestly, I think the only technology that changes is the laptops. And of course you want to replace those every once in a while. Some captioners replace theirs like, I want to say every 2 years. To me, that's kind of extreme. The last computer that I had, I used that Dell computer for like, I'm not even kidding, I think it was 8 years or something. I kept up with the same one for the one that I used in school. The thing that had me need to upgrade to was I noticed it was just going slower on jobs. So I was just like, okay, I need an upgrade. And yeah, that's when I started looking for a laptop. The USB things were always important for me to look for, to get as many as I could. And that it had, the little Ethernet port, an HDMI. And then also mine happens to have a CD-ROM drive, which is really hard to find now. But I know that these Zoom modems, these really old Zoom modems, had like a CD-ROM for you to install the software. So to me, it was crucial. I knew ahead of time to look for that. Mm-hmm. That's really the only technology that I kind of need to keep up with as far as like maintenance of my like hardware goes. the software, like the streaming services and stuff. Stream Text and OneCap app have been around for a really, really long time. I don't know if there's going to, there could be another company that comes out that is another streaming service. And hopefully I would hear about it through the companies that I work for. But, it's crazy because, I mean, some of these broadcast stations, like I was mentioning, the news stations and everything, they're using technology from the 80s. If you can believe it. So sometimes it's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But I know when they started to have to, like Vitex started having to pick up more of CART captioning because they were losing revenue with stations, not having the advertising as much with budget as much with people cutting cable for streaming services, then they really had a sharp learning curve because they had to learn Stream Text, OneCap app, and any other technology, the Zoom stuff. That was something that we've always used Zoom for audio. I'll tell you, we've been doing that well before the pandemic. So we were very comfortable with using that. And Skype and Google Meet. But I will tell you, we were not used to captioning directly into Zoom. So I think captioners are just, court reporters in general and stenographers are a very small community, but when you go into the captioning and CART world, it's even smaller. So we really kind of all know each other. And when word gets out that something has changed in like a Facebook group or, even at a company, if like owners are talking to each other and are like, okay, this is what I'm doing, then the companies are usually the ones that first communicate to us, okay, here's the procedure. This is what you're going to do. Here's the steps. If you need us to walk you through it, not during a job, we can do that. Or you can contact at least with Stream Text and OneCap app, you can contact the owners and they will even trial it with you and demo and get you set up and everything. But Zoom, as me and Brandon were talking about, good luck getting somebody that can help you at Zoom. So we do keep, or at least I keep, articles from Zoom on, how to walk a host through setting up and assigning the captioner. But we were also talking, there's Zoom updates. Sometimes the names of things change or the symbols of things change kind of without warning. Honestly, though, if you've been working with the captioning in Zoom, I mean, it's not going to change so dramatically that if you don't click, if you click around, you'll be able to figure it out. And if not, I've even had to tell people before, hey, hold on, let me call or let me text or email the company I'm doing the job for and tell them what's going on. And usually they'll, get on the phone with me or something, or walk me through it too, if it's something I can't figure out. I would say that's kind of how I keep up with the technology, and definitely with the way things are going. I mean, captioning, how it's delivered, may be changed in the future, but hopefully I will hear that with the people that I work for or the companies that I work for. And I think I'm pretty adaptable. So I changed how I did my periods when I went into captioning from school. And if you can change how you do your punctuation, that's really hard. Then I think I'm pretty adaptable. Yeah, it's everybody helps each other out. It's just like in core reporting.
Yeah, well, and I'm going to be selfish, and I'll actually take the last question, and then we'll go. We'll shut off the video, and we'll just keep talking here on Zoom. But anyway, you actually jogged a memory back from whenever I first heard you speak, and I just thought it'd be so valuable to hear that again for anyone who didn't get to catch it the first time. But whenever I heard you speak, you mentioned the importance of building a good dictionary and being thoughtful in your briefs. Could you just spend five or so minutes just briefly going over that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it is so important that you have a robust dictionary. I remember hearing, even when I was in school, oh, how often is that going to come up? You don't need to put that in there. And you never know what's going to come up with captioning. And especially if you're captioning chit chat before a meeting starts for like a corporate meeting or something. Yeah, like all like TV stuff comes up. I've had to write Bridgerton, which is in my dictionary. There was something else I saw in a group today, and I was like, my favorite group on Facebook is this in your dictionary? Because I'll share things, other people will share things. It's called, is this in your Dix dictionary? And I love it because it's literally just things that people encounter on the job. And I share a chunk at a time because I keep a list going of what I need to add in my dictionary. And then once I add it, I'll put it in a done list and I'll share portions of that list with the group. And yeah, I also use Dictionary Jumpstart. I got that as a student on special because it's very expensive, especially when you're a student. But she has sales and stuff, Anissa Nuremberger, that sells the software. And basically pick categories of different things, weather, colors, senators. I mean, it gets down into the nitty gritty, religion, Judaism, Christianity, so many categories, and it'll let you build those entries one at a time. It links to Merriam-Webster for pronunciation if it's in Merriam-Webster, which is great because to me, I want to hear how it sounds so I know how to put it in my dictionary. I don't want to have to guess. At the same time, though, like I had a medical job earlier this week and I knew I had like this particular part of the intestine in my dictionary, and the way they were pronouncing it was not coming up. So I had to like finger spell it. And I was just like, all right, I'm going to have to put in this incorrect pronunciation because I'm sure I'm probably going to hear this again. So that way it translates. But you export that in that software and literally you just get copy and paste all those entries and put them in your personal dictionary. I also, if you can't afford that and you just want a good place to start to build vocabulary for your dictionary, I highly recommend national news if you're looking for like the top stories with names, places, things like that, government. If you're looking for more of like items, like I always recommend QVC. I know people probably get tired of me saying that, but it's colors, it's cookware, it's food, it's clothing, it's jewelry, it's gardening, it's so many things. And so you can literally just listen and write those things and then define them and stick them in your dictionary. And if I find that like I have an entry or something that you know, I already have a way I write it and it comes up one way, and I want it capped or something, like, you know, it needs to be capped in another instance, I'll throw like an asterisk in it for the capped one, just to differentiate the two or something. I mean, I use this example a lot, like Matt, the name Matt, and Matt, like M-A-T, and then M-A-T-T-E, because when I wrote about makeup on QVC, I had to be able to write that. And I couldn't just add the E into M-A-T because that would be my meat. So I had to literally kind of troubleshoot those as I went to figure out, okay, I really need a way to differentiate all of these. So that way, if it ever comes up, I have a different way to write it. So I'm not finger spelling as much, because that slows you down. Yeah, I think that's all I can say. Oh, one more thing. Okay, one more thing. I do have like different dictionaries too for different kinds of jobs. So like today I had a museum job, and I was doing an all staff meeting for several museums that are in San Francisco under one big umbrella museum name. And I had my art terminology dictionary loaded. And that may have things like, of course, now I can't think off the top of my head because none of that terminology came up today, of course, but like I'll have artist names in there sometimes that maybe, you know, I don't have in my regular dictionary, or like, I want to say printmaking, but I think printmaking is always one word, but there's sometimes where words, you know, are sometimes one word or two words. So I'll put like the ones that are specific to that vocabulary in that dictionary, and I'll load that. And I have a computer dictionary where I have like Windows, Asana, like all the Datadog, like weird company names, or briefs even. Like I'll use, I'm trying to think of a brief I use. I know I have one for a Windows thing. What is it? I haven't used it. Oh, Azure. Yeah, like the color, there's the color, right? And then there's the software. So like, yeah, I'll have like, I would probably write the color out if I was doing the color for like a QVC thing, a shopping channel thing or something like that. But then if I'm doing that, I'll have my computer dictionary loaded, and it'll always be capped and I'll do the brief for that. So sometimes it helps to separate it out.
Yeah, well, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you. And so I encourage all of y'all, please like, share, comment, do all of those great things. And be sure to join KROERT Co. if you're not already a member, so that you can join in live, because we're about to sign off here on YouTube. And if we're here live watching this, you'd be able to stay on Zoom and get to talk to Tess some more. So thank you so much from all of us here at KROERT Co. And I will see y'all at the next one when it gets to docs, because I'll call me and purchase the most expensive one, thinking it's the best. But turns out it's the best price.